Okay, you're thinking about owning a five-star hotel. The image is easy to admire: polished stone, quiet suites, a restaurant glowing after midnight, and guests paying more for one weekend than many households spend in a month. But luxury room rates do not automatically create luxury owner returns. A property can command impressive prices, receive glowing reviews, and still send most of its cash toward payroll, financing, brand charges, utilities, repairs, taxes, and constant reinvestment. This breakdown will show what a U.S. five-star hotel can cost to build or acquire, how ownership differs from brand operation, where revenue really comes from, why occupancy and pricing matter, and how a busy property can remain financially fragile. The first surprise is that five-star is not simply a construction specification. Different rating systems use different criteria, and a hotel may be described as luxury without holding the same formal rating everywhere. Forbes Travel Guide says its inspectors evaluate properties against as many as 900 standards, with service carrying most of the scoring weight. That means the expensive marble is only the stage. The performance is delivered by people: the employee who remembers a returning guest, the room service team that arrives correctly and promptly, the engineer who fixes a climate control problem before it becomes a complaint, and the housekeeper who resets a suite to the same standard hundreds of times. Luxury, therefore, behaves less like a finished product and more like a live production that repeats every day. The building can be completed once, but the service promise must be recreated during every shift, including slow nights when the hotel still needs security, engineering coverage, front desk support, cleaning, food preparation, and management oversight. That distinction explains the central economics. The owner invests in a large, long-lived real estate asset. The operating business then sells perishable room nights and labor-intensive experiences. One side demands patient capital. The other must perform tonight, because an empty room cannot be stored and sold next week. Luxury also creates an unusual measurement problem. Guests judge the property through details, while lenders and owners judge it through occupancy, rate, cash flow, reserves, and debt coverage. A hotel can win the first test and fail the second. Start with development cost. HVS's 2026 U.S. Hotel Development Cost Survey reported a median above $1,600,000 per room for luxury projects in its sample. That is a benchmark, not a universal quote. Land prices, union labor, local codes, demolition, historic preservation, resort infrastructure, financing conditions, and the amount of meeting, restaurant, spa, and residential space can move an individual project far above or below it. Still, the benchmark reveals the scale. Multiplying $1,600,000 by 180 rooms produces $288 million before considering whether a particular site is more difficult than the surveyed median. The guest sees a bed and a bathroom. The development budget sees land, design, structural work, mechanical systems, elevators, kitchens, life safety systems, guest rooms, public areas, landscaping, technology, professional fees, pre-opening payroll, interest during construction and contingency. Location magnifies every decision. A gateway city address may support higher rates, international demand, corporate groups, and valuable land, but it can also bring expensive labor, taxes, construction, insurance, and competition. A resort may command premium seasonal pricing while carrying pools, landscaping, transportation, and staff housing through quieter months. An airport luxury hotel depends on different demand from an urban convention property. For that reason, national averages are useful screening tools, not substitutes for a site-specific feasibility study that tests supply, demand, access, seasonality, planned competition, and the rates customers have actually paid. The building also needs revenue-producing spaces that are expensive before they become productive. A ballroom requires structure, finishes, service corridors, storage, loading access, audio-visual infrastructure, and a banquet kitchen. A spa needs treatment rooms, wet areas, ventilation, laundry capacity, and specialist equipment. Restaurants require commercial kitchens, refrigeration, exhaust, dishwashing, and inventories. These additions can strengthen revenue, but they raise construction cost and operating complexity simultaneously. Financing converts that construction budget into a recurring claim on cash. Developers commonly combine equity with construction debt, and may later replace the construction loan with permanent financing after the hotel opens and stabilizes. The loan proceeds are not revenue. They are capital that must be repaid under terms shaped by the borrower, lender, interest rate, collateral, guarantees, and market conditions. The dangerous period is the gap between opening and stabilization. Payroll begins before the rooms achieve normal occupancy. Marketing begins before the hotel has repeat guests. Interest continues while employees learn the property and operations are corrected. Working capital must cover that ramp. An owner who finances the building but underfunds the opening can complete a magnificent asset and still face a liquidity crisis before demand matures. Acquiring an existing luxury hotel avoids ground-up construction, but it creates a different investigation. The buyer must separate the real estate from the operating company, furniture and equipment, working capital, brand agreement, management contract, employee obligations, existing reservations, gift cards, deposits, litigation, licenses, and planned renovations. A low purchase price may hide a required property improvement plan or years of deferred maintenance. A high purchase price may reflect valuable land rather than strong hotel cash flow. This is also where the name above the entrance can mislead. Major hotel companies frequently operate or franchise properties owned by separate investors. Marriott describes itself as a franchisor, operator, and licensor, while Hilton describes a fee-based model built largely around management and franchising. Public hotel owners likewise report portfolios operated under third-party management agreements. The brand, the manager, and the property owner may therefore be three different economic participants. Under a management agreement, the owner supplies the asset and capital while the manager runs daily hotel operations. The agreement may include a base management fee linked to revenue, an incentive fee linked to a negotiated profit measure, centralized reservation or technology charges, loyalty program costs, marketing assessments, and reimbursements. A franchise arrangement shifts more operating responsibility to the owner or an independent manager, but adds royalty and system obligations. Exact percentages vary by brand, property, negotiation, and contract. So company-wide fee revenue should never be treated as one hotel's profit. The owner carries risks the guest rarely sees. The roof belongs to the owner. So do major mechanical failures, furniture replacement, insurance, property taxes, and often the capital required to satisfy changing brand standards. Management may control the guest experience, but the owner generally funds the physical platform supporting it. This creates a permanent negotiation over performance, budgets, staffing, capital expenditure, and the definition of profit used for incentive fees of furniture, fixtures, and equipment reserve helps prepare for future replacements. It is not the same as profit, and it is not optional cash merely because the furniture still looks acceptable today. Carpets wear, mattresses age, televisions become dated, kitchens break down, and public spaces eventually need renovation. Luxury properties face an additional problem. Acceptable condition is not enough. The design must remain competitive, with newer hotels charging similar rates. Now move to the income statement. Rooms are usually the largest revenue source, but room revenue is not measured by price alone. Average daily rate shows the average price of rooms actually sold. Occupancy shows the share of available rooms sold. Revenue per available room, or RevPR, combines both by multiplying average daily rate by occupancy. A hotel charging $1,000 while selling very few rooms may produce less room revenue than a competitor, charging less with stronger occupancy. Revenue management constantly adjusts pricing because every room night expires. A 108-room hotel has 65,700 available room nights in a normal year. Once a particular Tuesday passes, any unsold rooms from that date become permanently lost inventory. The revenue team therefore studies booking pace, cancellations, events, flight capacity, corporate demand, competitor pricing, seasonality, and how many rooms remain at each rate. Higher occupancy is not automatically better. Discounting can fill rooms while weakening revenue and creating more cleaning, breakfast, laundry, amenity, and loyalty costs. Raising rates can improve contribution per room but reduce demand. The objective is not simply a full building, It is the best achievable mix of rate, occupancy, distribution cost, and guest segment while protecting the hotel's long-term positioning. Distribution changes the economics to a direct reservation may carry different costs from an online travel agency booking, a corporate negotiated rate, a group contract, or a loyalty redemption. The room can look identical to the guest while producing a different net contribution for the owner. This is why revenue reports should be read after commissions, transaction fees, loyalty reimbursements, and promotional costs. Not only at the headline room rate, food and beverage creates both opportunity and danger. A celebrated restaurant can attract local customers, strengthen the brand, and support room pricing. It can also lose money after chefs, servers, ingredients, breakage, utilities, cleaning, and waste. Hotel restaurants often operate hours that an independent restaurant might avoid because guests expect breakfast, late service, and holiday availability. The restaurant, therefore, contributes to the total hotel promise, even when its standalone margin is modest. Banquets, weddings, and corporate meetings can improve the equation because they combine space, rental, catering, beverages, audiovisual services, and guest rooms. A contracted event also gives the hotel advance information about attendance and purchasing needs. Yet group business carries concentration risk. One canceled convention can remove room blocks, banquet revenue, and meeting space income at the same time. Deposits and cancellation clauses protect part of that exposure, but they do not recreate all lost demand. Parking, resort fees, memberships, retail, transportation, and private clubs may add revenue depending on the property. None should be treated as free money. Spa revenue requires therapists, scheduling products, linen, and treatment rooms. Parking requires labor, insurance, or a third-party operator. A private club can provide recurring cash but creates service obligations and capacity competition with hotel guests. Each stream should be evaluated by its direct cost and contribution, not by sales alone. Payroll is usually the largest operating pressure because five-star service is delivered through labor. Guest-facing departments are only the beginning. Behind them are engineering, finance, sales, revenue management, information technology, human resources, security, laundry, stewarding, purchasing, and administration. A hotel never closes at night, so scheduling must cover weekends, holidays, absences, training, and supervisory layers. Industry research continues to identify labor as hotels' largest operating expense and a major source of recent cost pressure. Rooms require cleaning after departure, service during occupied stays, depending on policy and guest preference, inspection, linen movement, and recovery when something is wrong. The number of attendants needed depends on room size, service standard, occupancy, union rules, stay-over frequency, and productivity. A luxury suite takes longer than a simple select service room. An evening turndown adds another labor cycle. Applying one universal rooms per attendant ratio would create false precision. Labor is partly variable but never perfectly flexible. If occupancy falls, the hotel may schedule fewer attendants and servers. It cannot eliminate the general manager's security plan, core engineering coverage, sales function, or minimum front desk presence. Severance rules, collective bargaining agreements, recruitment difficulty, and training costs can make rapid reductions expensive. Then, when demand returns, understaffing can damage service scores precisely when the hotel needs strong reviews and repeat business. Utilities create another layer of operating leverage. Guest rooms use heating, cooling, lighting, water, and electronics, while kitchens, pools, spas, elevators, laundry, and public areas create substantial whole building demand. A low-occupancy hotel does save some variable energy, but the lobby remains conditioned. Hot water systems remain available, elevators run, and essential spaces stay illuminated. The utility bill, therefore, does not fall in direct proportion to occupancy. Owners can benchmark energy and water use, compare the property with similar buildings, and prioritize efficiency projects. Controls that adjust vacant room temperatures, efficient laundry equipment, heat recovery, lighting upgrades, leak detection, and better building management can reduce waste. These projects should be evaluated through measured savings, installation cost, guest comfort, and maintenance requirements rather than treated as automatic paybacks. EPA's portfolio manager is designed to benchmark whole building, energy and water performance, against past usage and comparable buildings. Insurance, cybersecurity, and compliance have also become core operating issues. A luxury hotel may combine lodging, restaurants, alcohol service, pools, spas, events, vehicles, employees, payment systems, and sensitive guest information. The required permits and insurance differ by state, city, and service mix. Accessibility, fire safety, food handling, liquor licensing, employment rules, privacy obligations, and pool or spa regulations can all affect construction and daily operations. Hotels are places of public accommodation covered by federal ADA requirements. In addition to applicable state and local obligations, now consider demand risk. Luxury travel depends heavily on discretionary spending, corporate budgets, international arrivals, major events, and confidence. A recession, travel restriction, public health emergency, geopolitical disruption, or local security event can reduce bookings quickly. The cost structure responds much more slowly. This mismatch is called operating leverage. Revenue moves sharply while many costs remain fixed or semi-fixed. Recent performance also shows why owners should not assume that premium demand protects every property equally. Higher-priced hotels may outperform the wider market during some periods, while individual hotels still suffer from weak location, poor positioning, excessive new supply, labor pressure, or debt. A national luxury trend is not a guarantee for a newly opened hotel on one block. CBRE expected higher-priced hotels to outperform other U.S. segments in 2025, while HV's later reported declining gross operating profit margins across property types through August 2025, illustrating how revenue, resilience, and profit pressure can coexist. Mixed-use development can change feasibility. Residences, retail offices, or private clubs may share the site and infrastructure. Selling branded residences can return capital earlier, while a prestigious hotel can support the wider project's identity. But these are separate businesses with shared dependencies. Residential proceeds are not hotel operating revenue, and rising condominium values do not prove that the rooms department is profitable. Some owners accept modest hotel returns because the property serves another purpose. A government-backed development may support tourism or district creation. A family office may value long-term land ownership and prestige. A casino resort may use rooms and restaurants to support gaming demand. A developer may view the hotel as an anchor that raises surrounding rents. Those strategies can be rational, but they should not be confused with the economics of a standalone hotel bought solely for distributable cash flow. Tax treatment can influence after-tax returns without repairing weak operations. The IRS recognizes cost segregation studies as a method used to identify building components that may qualify for different depreciation periods. And current federal rules provide 100% additional first-year depreciation for certain qualified property acquired after January 19, 2025. The hotel building itself does not simply become an immediate deduction, and eligibility depends on asset classification, dates, elections, and tax circumstances. This is an area for qualified tax and engineering professionals, not a shortcut promised by a sales presentation. Refinancing can also return capital or reduce financing cost after a property stabilizes, but it depends on value, cash flow, lender standards, interest rates, and leverage. Borrowed refinancing proceeds are not operating profit. They create or replace debt. Similarly, appreciation is not hotel income until value is realized, and property values can fall when cap rates rise, renovations are due, or expected cash flow weakens. Daniel is reviewing a simplified educational model for a 100-day-to-room urban luxury hotel. The assumptions are not an industry average or forecast. Total development cost is $300 million. Funded with $120 million of equity and $180 million of interest-only debt at an assumed 7%. Annual interest is therefore $12,600,000 before principal, taxes on owner income, or additional lender charges. In the strong year model, total hotel revenue is $80 million. Department-level direct costs, including rooms, food and beverage, spa, and event labor and supplies, consume $30 million. Undistributed operating expenses such as administration, sales, technology, repairs, security, and utilities consume $20 million. Management, franchise, reservation, loyalty, and marketing charges consumed $5 million. Property taxes and insurance use $4 million, and $3 million goes into the furniture and equipment reserve. That leaves $18 million of operating cash before debt service and owner-level taxes. Subtract $12,600,000 of interest, and the remaining cash is $5,400,000. That is positive, but it is not a $5 million salary. The owner invested $120 million of equity, may still face principal repayment, and must retain liquidity for overruns, renovations, and working capital, now weaken the year. Revenue falls to $58 million as occupancy rate, group events, and restaurant demand soften. Department-level costs decline to $24 million. But the remaining operating expenses, fees, taxes, insurance, and reserve still total $29 million. Operating cash before debt is only $5 million. Interest remains $12,600,000, producing a cash deficit of $7 million. $600,000 before principal and owner taxes, the hotel can still look luxurious during that week year. Guests may see flowers, uniforms, and full restaurants on Saturday. The owner sees an asset that needs additional equity to meet obligations. The difference between the strong and weak models is not decoration. It is the interaction of demand, pricing power, cost flexibility, and leverage. Break-even, therefore, has several levels. The hotel must first cover direct departmental costs. Then it must cover undistributed operating expenses and fees. Then property-level cash must cover insurance, taxes, reserve requirements, and debt service. Finally, the owner must decide whether the return justifies the equity and risk. Calling the hotel profitable without stating which level has been cleared can be deeply misleading. Resale value depends largely on expected future cash flow, physical condition, brand and management agreements. Remaining lease or ground lease terms, competitive supply, required capital expenditure, and market capitalization rates. A buyer may pay more for a stable hotel with clean records and manageable renovation needs. A trophy address can attract strategic buyers. But prestige does not guarantee liquidity or price. The same physical asset can therefore produce different returns under different owners, brands, debt structures, renovation plans, and local demand conditions over many years. Ownership workload also varies. A passive equity partner may rely on an asset manager to supervise the brand and property manager. An owner-operator takes on more daily decisions. In either case, someone must review budgets, forecasts, labor productivity, guest scores, capital projects, insurance, debt covenants, and contract compliance. Luxury ownership is not simply attending openings and inspecting suites. It is governing a complicated operating company attached to an expensive building. So, is owning a 5-star hotel a good business? It can be, but the answer is not contained in the nightly rate or the chandelier. It depends on what was paid for the land and building, how the capital was structured, who controls operations, what the contracts remove from revenue, how well demand survives difficult periods, and how much reinvestment the property requires. The guest experiences one night. The owner carries every night. Sold rooms, empty rooms, payroll, repairs, interest, and the next renovation. That is the real machine behind 5-star hotel ownership.